Hello, everyone. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Today is Friday, which means it is our So What episode where we reflect back on the week that's just been.
Yes.
And what a good week it has been.
Oh, yeah. On Tuesday, I was talking about springtime, wasn't I?
You were, yes.
Springtime. You know what comes in the spring?
Chickens.
I'll give you a clue. Achoo!
Hay fever.
Oh, you've got to be pulling my leg.
Oh.
Stop and breathe in your presence. Just breathe. Just breathe.
Moving swiftly on from that joke.
Good joke.
Let's recap the week, and why don't you tell us about Monday, Sam?
Okay, so on Monday, we were chasing the dragon with Ian.
Not literally, just to caveat that.
No, just talking about it. He's got some good titles for his Monday's episode, hasn't he? What was it? A few weeks ago, The Miracle of Abundant Good Booze. I enjoyed that one. And then this week, we're chasing the dragon.
Yes.
He talks about trying to find things in the world that will fulfill a desire. Try and fill us up with something to make us feel worth something and whole again, I think.
Yeah.
And so we end up chasing the desires of this earth, and we find that we never get filled, and we always have to increase the amount to match that first hit. Nothing quite matches up. And he mentioned about advertisement. You always start with the best to draw people in. And then once you've got them, you no longer have to fulfill what you've promised them because they're hooked. And then it's a downhill spiral from there, really. But how Jesus does the complete opposite, and he saves the best till last, and it just keeps getting better and better and better.
I just like what Ian said, that life with Jesus won't ultimately disappoint, and that him and his promises are faithful. And that's the thing we can cling to when life gets hard. And I like the fact that Ian didn't say life with Jesus won't disappoint. He said life with Jesus won't ultimately disappoint, because the reality is that life will still be disappointing because life is hard and we live in a fallen world. But we can trust and hope in who Jesus is and his promises to us, and that he is faithful, faithful to the very end.
Yes, and life may be fragile, but our God is faithful.
Yeah. Shall we move on to Tuesday? Which was your episode, and a song called Springtime, which I thought I hadn't heard before, but when I listened to the whole song, I realised that I think we've sung it in church before. But it is a great song, and I guess very apt for the times. And I think just thinking on that spring isn't spring without winter, and that in winter everything becomes dormant and is dark, and like the trees are all dead and they've not got their leaves on. But we know that the promise of spring is to come, and that's when all the new life will come through. And Chris Renzema, he does this line where it says, "Death is dead and gone with the winter." And I thought that's like a really good picture, because when Jesus died, it all kind of went dark and seemed hopeless. But then there was the resurrection and new life, and Jesus's resurrection brings us to life.
Yes. And I feel like this year we were waiting for spring for a long time. Like it just never seemed to get sunny.
Yeah, much like now.
Yeah, it's a bit dull.
That's a typical British summer.
It might be sunny on Friday when this goes out.
Let's hope so.
But yeah, I think last week when it was really sunny, did that make us enjoy it more? Like, finally the sun is here.
I think the sun just makes things feel more hopeful, doesn't it? I guess because
it does, yeah.
The sun puts you in a good mood, and you can get outside and be in the fresh air, and it makes all the colours pop. Because even last night, me and Jez went for a walk around the park, and the sky was quite dark, like there's lots of clouds, but the sun was there, and it just, when it was hitting the trees, it was just looked beautiful. And I think there's just something about when the sun comes out that just fills you with hope.
Yeah, definitely. Wednesday. E is for evangelism. E is for Elizabeth. E is for...
extremely, or whatever that line is. E is for how extremely normal.
If you know, you know. So your Wednesday's episode made me think of Festival of Manchester last weekend. It had this big altar call, and it was a free concert for anybody who came in this park in Wythenshawe in Manchester. But it didn't seem that easy, which I think was perfect, because it was a festival for people who weren't really into church, weren't really into God, sort of against the idea of church, but they came to this event where the people on stage were praising God, some people around were praising God, and they were just there, just enjoying it. And I think at one point it was LZ7 on stage who was praying for everybody, and he had to say to them, "Can you just give us a few minutes?" Because they were like causing some ruckus in the crowd. We're nearly done. Just, this is important. And then they're like, "Okay, we'll respect you." And then it's like, but I think it was just the way it happened was just kind of controversial for them, but so nice that they got to be a part of it. I don't really know what my point is, but it just made me think of it. And I'll be talking about it more on Wednesday, so make sure you tune in.
I'd love to know if any of the times the disciples went out, if it was like that, which I'm sure it was. Because one of the points that I was trying to make on Wednesday, I think, is there's places and purpose for those big events, but then we can't all do that, and we're not all gifted in that kind of way with evangelism to big crowds, but that we all can have a part to play in bearing witness to Jesus. Because I think I sometimes just hear the word evangelism and think, I can't do that because I am not really that eloquent, and I could never talk in front of a big crowd, and I don't always have the right words. But actually the way that we live our lives and in front of other people and build relationship with them, that can open the door for sort of smaller conversations, and those things are just as important and valid as the big things.
Yeah, I almost think those things are kind of more important, if I can say that. Is that controversial? I've said it. Because then if you're building deep relationships with people, then it's kind of more likely to stick. Do you know what I mean? Like the big festival at Altar Call is like the first step, and then building a deeper relationship with somebody is showing them more of how Jesus wants to build a deep relationship with them as well. But I also think, it made me think of the song For the One, Bethel Music, where it says, even in just a smile, they would feel the Father's heart. It's like a prayer. We want to show that in our lives everything we do is for the Father, and that by us smiling we're showing love to them and showing that the Father loves them. One last thing on Wednesdays. You also said something about sometimes we think we don't do a very good job of it, but at the same time the Bible says he makes all things work together for our good. And I think we learn from our mistakes, we do things better, and even though we may think we've failed or we may think we've not done a very good job, God works in ways where that's actually the perfect thing that you could have done at the time.
Yeah.
And both you will grow from that situation, and the person who you talk to will make an effect on them as well. You said something the other day, didn't you? We may never know the effects of our actions on people. We just got to trust that it's worked together for good.
Yeah.
I think my so what for this week is to just have hope and a courage that if you're trying to follow and spread the love of Jesus, that he'll make it work out for our good. Similar to last week, really, isn't it?
And I think my so what's probably the same. Just, I think all of those messages carry something of hope in them. And even, you saying, it's quite similar to last week, maybe that's just what God is trying to get that message across to us at the moment, just to hope in him.
Yeah, even in the hard times, that it will get better. And it will just make everything even better in the future when we look back on where we've come from.
Let me be filled with kindness and compassion for the one for whom you love and gave your son for humanity. Increase my love, help me to love with open arms like you do, a love that erases all the lines and sees the truth. was love.